Today on AI News, we're diving into the exciting world of AI-generated video. Get ready, because some incredible breakthroughs have happened recently in text-to-video technology. Imagine typing a description and getting a whole video clip back. It's now a reality. In this episode, we'll explore the top 3 AI video generation models leading the pack in 2025. OpenAI's Sora, Runway's Gen 4, and Google DeepMind's Veo. We'll break down what each one can do, the newest features they offer, and how they stack up against each other. So sit back, relax, and let's turn words into moving pictures. OpenAI's Sora, text-to-video for the masses. First up is Sora, OpenAI's first foray into video generation. You might know OpenAI from tools like GPT-4 and DALL-E, and now they've brought that magic to video. Sora is a text-to-video model. You simply describe a scene in words, and Sora will create a short movie clip to match. OpenAI introduced Sora in late 2024, initially to beta testers, and then to all ChatGPT Plus users by the end of the year. Now it's becoming more widely available. Even Microsoft's Bing app has a built-in video creator that lets anyone try Sora for free. This means AI video generation is no longer confined to researchers. It's literally at the fingertips of everyday users. What can Sora do? A lot more than you might expect. Sora can generate videos up to about 20 seconds long in one go, and OpenAI has demonstrated it can eventually handle up to a minute as the tech improves. These aren't just looping GIFs or shaky animations. We're talking realistic, coherent video scenes. If you prompt Sora with a stylish woman walks down a neon-lit Tokyo street on a rainy night, it will produce a clip of exactly that, the woman. The glowing neon signs reflected in puddles, pedestrians passing by. All consistent and on theme. The model has a surprisingly deep understanding of the world. It respects things like perspective and lighting. For example, if the camera pans around the scene, Sora keeps the geometry correct so objects look solid in 3D space. If that woman is carrying a red purse in one shot, she'll still have it in the next shot. This is a big deal. Earlier video experiments often had characters morphing or disappearing from frame to frame. Sora really nails temporal consistency, keeping characters and objects persistent over time. One of Sora's coolest capabilities is handling multiple shots and scenes within one generated video. It's as if the AI has a bit of memory of what it just showed. You could prompt something like, show a cat chasing a butterfly through a garden, then cut to the cat curled up indoors by a fireplace, and Sora can produce a short film with those two scenes, the same cat in both, and a logical transition. The character, the cat, remains the same from the garden to the living room. Same fur pattern, same colors, which is astonishing for an AI-generated sequence. It's not perfect every time, but this persistence of characters and visual style across shots is a breakthrough. Sora even demonstrates a rudimentary understanding of cause and effect in the physical world. For instance, if you prompt, a painter brushes red paint on a canvas, Sora might actually show the red brushstrokes accumulating on the canvas over time. If you say, a man takes a bite of a burger, the burger might appear with a bite missing afterward. These are subtle details, but they make the generated videos feel much more believable, as if the AI knows some basics of physics and continuity. Now, let's talk about how creators can use Sora. OpenAI didn't just build a model. They built an entire Sora video editor interface to help you craft videos. In Sora's editor, you start by entering your text prompt, and you can also upload an image or even a short video as a starting point if you want. Sora will then generate a clip for you. From there, you have a suite of editing tools. One feature, for example, is called Recut. It opens a storyboard mode where you can line up multiple shots to create a longer video. You can take the clip you just made, trim it, or add more scenes after it by describing the next part of your story. Sora basically lets you stitch together several AI-generated segments, up to a minute or more, in total length, to form a mini narrative. In the storyboard, each scene is represented by a card. You can set specific key moments by writing prompts or using images for each card and arrange them on a timeline. Want a transition between scenes? Sora has a blend feature to smoothly transition one clip into the next, as well as a loop feature if you need the video to seamlessly repeat. There's also Remix, which allows you to take a generated video and tweak it, maybe change the style or modify an element by providing a new prompt based on the existing video. All of this means Sora isn't just generating one-off videos. It's providing tools to build longer stories or do basic video edits with AI content. It's like having a mini production studio powered by generative AI. Quality and style. Visually, Sora's output tends to have a cinematic quality with rich detail. Think of it as having a very creative director on demand. It can do various styles, realistic live-action type scenes, or more artistic looks, for example, a papercraft animation of a coral reef, or stop-motion style flower growing. Sora can mimic those styles if you ask. It handles camera movements like pans or zooms quite smoothly. If you prompt specific cinematography terms, Sora understands many of them. For instance, if you request shot on 35mm film, shallow depth of field, low angle shot, Sora will attempt to include those cinematographic touches. The footage might come out with film grain and blurred backgrounds, just as requested. This gives creators a lot of control to get the mood or aesthetic they want. Of course, we should be clear that Sora isn't flawless. It's a very new technology. Sometimes it struggles with complex physics or very specific instructions. For example, if your scene has too many things happening, explosions, water splashing, reflections all at once, Sora might produce something that looks a bit off or defies real physics. Rapid motions or interactions can sometimes look unnatural. Early users have noted issues like objects passing through each other or a person moving in an implausible way. And while Sora can maintain coherence for a while, extremely long sequences, beyond its limit, or very intricate multi-step actions can trip it up. If you ask for something like a character picking up a mirror and the mirror reflecting a perfect image, that might confuse it. It can also get spatial relationships mixed up, left versus right, etc. in generated footage. These are active areas of improvement. On the flip side, it's remarkable how much Sora does get right. Things like 3D consistency, keeping the scene geometry consistent when the camera moves, and object permanence, not forgetting an object that left the frame and then came back, were huge challenges, and Sora is handling those pretty well most of the time. One fun example that made waves, popular tech YouTuber Marques Brownlee tested Sora early on, asking it for a tech reviewer sitting at a desk. In the AI-generated video, viewers noticed a particular potted plant on the desk that looked almost identical to a plant that Brownlee actually has in many of his real videos. That little detail was eerily specific, likely a result of Sora having seen images or frames of those real videos during training. It sparked conversation about how these models learn from existing content and how they might inadvertently copy or remix elements from their training data. It's a reminder that as magical as Sora is, it's still a product of what it was trained on. OpenAI is aware of these issues, and like others in this space, has put in usage guidelines and content filters. For example, you can't just generate a video of a real person or someone else's movie scenes. There are safeguards to prevent obvious misuse, like deepfakes or pornography, etc., since with great power comes great responsibility, especially for a tool that makes ultra-realistic videos. On the whole, Sora represents a huge leap in accessible video creation. It puts AI video generation into a user-friendly package via ChatGPT. If you have a ChatGPT Plus subscription, you not only chat with GPT-4 and generate images with Doll, but you can now jump into Sora and spin up a short video for your project or campaign. Marketers are using it to create quick promo videos. Storytellers are experimenting with sci-fi dream sequences, all without a film crew or a budget. Sora is all about making video generation effortless and accessible, as Microsoft and OpenAI like to say. And with the recent Bing integration bringing Sora to potentially millions of users for free, it's clear OpenAI and its partners want to democratize AI video. We're truly entering an age where typing a script can result in a short film. How cool is that? Runway Gen 4, the creators. AI camera. Next, let's talk about Runway, specifically the latest Runway Gen 4 model. If Sora is the newcomer riding on OpenAI's fame, Runway is the crafty independent filmmaker that's been pushing AI video from the start. Runway is a startup, Runway ML, that has been a pioneer in generative video tools for a few years now. In fact, Runway's earlier model, Gen 2, was one of the first widely available text-to-video generators back in 2023, and it got a lot of creators excited despite its limitations. Fast forward to 2025, and Runway has unveiled Gen 4, which is a next-generation AI model for media generation. This model is all about consistency and controllability, things that earlier AI video tools struggled with. What makes Gen 4 special? In one word, consistency. If you've ever tried older AI video generators, you'll know they often had a big issue where the subject would morph or change from frame to frame. Super creepy if you were trying to get, say, a person's face the same throughout. Gen 4 addresses this head-on. Runway Gen 4 introduces what we might call a visual memory for the model. Once it sees a character or object, it does its best to stick with it throughout the clip, without it turning into something else midway. The result is that you can now generate a multi-second scene, where the main character remains identical and recognizable the whole time, even if the camera angle changes. For example, you could give Gen 4 a single image of your protagonist, maybe a concept art or a photo of an actor, and then prompt, "The knight walks through a misty battlefield, camera tracking from behind." Gen 4 will produce a 5 to 10 second video of that exact knight, with the same armor, same look, walking through the mist. And if the scene cuts or the camera circles around, the knight's appearance stays consistent. This is a game changer for storytelling. It means you can essentially cast actors via reference images in your AI-generated video and trust they won't magically turn into a different person a few seconds in. That leads to another key feature: dual input prompting. Runway Gen 4 works best when you give it both an image and a text description. Think of the image as a visual anchor or reference, and the text as the direction for motion and context. In practice, this might mean you feed in a still image of a scene or a character, and then describe what happens next. The model then animates it for you. For instance, provide an image of a detailed origami-style cat, and a prompt saying, "The origami cat walks along a paper street," as the camera follows beside it. The output video will take the look of the image, that exact origami cat design and bring it to life with motion as described. This combo is powerful. The image ensures the style and characters are exactly what you want, and the text drives the action. It's much more controllable than text alone, because you're not leaving everything to the AI's imagination. You're guiding it with a visual example. In Gen 4, Runway has leaned into this approach because it dramatically improves coherence. Essentially, Gen 4 allows one to animate a static image with a specific scenario. If you're an artist, you can design a character or a scene, and then use Gen 4 to generate a cinematic shot featuring that art in motion. In terms of output, Runway Gen 4 currently can generate clips around 5 to 10 seconds long per prompt. That's a bit shorter per clip than Sora's max. But remember that Gen 4 is designed for you to compose longer videos by stringing clips together. Similar to Sora's approach, you build sequences out of multiple AI shots. The resolution Gen 4 provides is quite decent. HD 720p, by default 1280 by 720, and in some cases higher. Some users and tiers have gotten up to 1080p output. The frame rate is a cinematic 24 frames per second, so the motion looks smooth. And you're not stuck with one aspect ratio. You can choose widescreen 16 by 9, or go vertical 9 by 16 for smartphone content, or a square format, etc., which is handy depending on whether you're making footage for YouTube, TikTok, or a presentation. The output videos are silent, just like Sora's, so no audio is generated. You'd add music or sound later in editing. Runway's philosophy here is that these clips are building blocks for larger creations. You use them as material in an editing timeline with other media. Now let's talk about the style and quality of Gen 4's videos. Runway's models have always had an artsy, cinematic flair, and Gen 4 continues that tradition with improvements. The Gen 4 footage often looks like something straight out of a film trailer or a well-crafted cutscene. The textures are sharper and details more refined than previous generations. You'll see more stable and believable lighting and shadows. For example, a character's shadow will consistently follow them, and reflections in water might actually make sense. It even adds touches of realistic physics. Cloth and hair might sway as the character moves. Objects obey gravity more naturally than before, and particles like smoke or rain behave in a convincing manner. One impressive capability is how Gen 4 can handle complex camera moves. You can do a steady tracking shot, a smooth pan, or even a 360-degree orbit around a subject. And the model manages to keep the scene coherent. Earlier models often freaked out with complex camera motion. The scene would distort or glitch. But Gen 4 seems much more adept at this, giving a real sense of three-dimensional space in the video. Runway has basically tuned Gen 4 to be a virtual camera crew that tries to understand cinematography cues. If you say close-up shot or wide-angle lens, Gen 4 understands and changes the framing or lens effect accordingly. This is similar to what Google's VEO does with lens instructions. We'll get to that soon. And it shows that these AI models are learning the language of filmmakers. Another new improvement in Runway Gen 4 is that it moved away from manual tweaking and towards smarter automation. Apparently, Gen 3, an earlier version, allowed some manual control like keyframe by keyframe edits or some interpolation settings. Gen 4 has streamlined the process. It focuses on generating naturally smooth footage without needing the user to intervene frame by frame. For example, frame interpolation, which smooths the motion, is now handled automatically under the hood. You don't have to toggle a switch for it. The result is a more organic motion, out of the box. If a car drives by in your scene, it won't jitter or teleport. It'll move fluidly across the frames. Gen 4 is built on advanced AI architectures, a combination of diffusion models and transformers, though Runway hasn't published all the technical details publicly. But what matters to creators is that it feels more polished and coherent. Using Runway's tools, Runway as a platform offers not just the generation, but also a ton of post-production tools integrated right in your browser. When you use Runway Gen 4 or earlier gens on their website, you get a full video editor interface. This includes a timeline editor where you can arrange multiple clips, whether AI-generated or your own footage, add transitions, and even layer audio. They have green screen tools powered by AI to remove backgrounds from videos. Runway became famous for its AI green screen, in fact, which was used in the Hollywood film Everything Everywhere All at Once to do some quick VFX work. They also have features like adding subtitles, generating transcripts, applying color filters, LUTs, etc. So creators often use Runway as a one-stop shop. Generate some creative video clips with Gen 4, then polish them using the editing and VFX tools all in the same app. It's very convenient, especially for people who aren't expert video editors. Runway's interface is user-friendly and all online. No heavy software needed. Availability and community. Runway's models are accessible through subscription plans. Gen 4 is available to Runway's paid users. As of early 2025, it's in an alpha-beta stage, but broadly accessible on paid plans. They offer different tiers depending on how many seconds of video you want to generate per month and at what quality. It's not as cheap as, say, ChatGPT Plus, because video generation is really computationally intensive. But for serious creators, it's a fantastic tool. Runway has a strong user community. In fact, they've engaged with the film and art world quite a bit. They sponsored an AI film festival to showcase short films made with AI tools, and they partnered with big names like Lionsgate Studios and Getty Images. The Lionsgate partnership is particularly interesting. Runway got access to Lionsgate's library of footage to train their models, which could mean Gen 4 or future Gen 5. Has learned about filmmaking from actual Hollywood films in a licensed, safe way. It also shows that studios are interested in this technology for pre-visualization, editing, or even content generation. The Getty Images deal was about using licensed images for training to avoid the legal pitfalls others have faced. So Runway is trying to do this the right way, respecting copyrights and getting commercially safe training data. All of these moves indicate that Runway is positioning itself as the go-to professional tool for AI-assisted video creation. Strengths and weaknesses. Runway and Gen 4's biggest strength is the creative control it gives to users. By allowing image references and giving consistent outputs, it's a dream for artists who want to maintain a specific look or character across scenes. The visual fidelity, especially in a stylistic or cinematic sense, is excellent. Many outputs look like they were concept art that came to life. It's perfect for crafting music video snippets, fantasy scenes, experimental animations, and so on. If you've seen any AI-generated short films on social media recently, chances are a lot of them were made with Runway's tools. However, Gen 4 isn't magic. It still has some limitations. For one, since it's often aiming for a cinematic feel, sometimes the model might prioritize style over perfect realism. Users have noted that while it's far more consistent than Gen 2, if you really push it to do something logically complex, say a person solving a Rubik's Cube in detail, or multiple people interacting intricately, it might still introduce some weird artifacts or logical gaps. The model can occasionally get creative in unintended ways, a byproduct of its training on lots of artistic visuals, so you might still get a bit of that AI surrealism if you stray from its comfort zone. Also, the length per generation is relatively short, 10 seconds max, which means longer sequences have to be made by chaining clips. This can sometimes lead to slight discontinuities unless you carefully guide each transition. But overall, Gen 4 is a huge step up in making AI video usable and reliable for creators. It feels like having a knowledgeable assistant that can generate establishing shots, transitions, or even entire scenes for your project on demand. Before we move on, it's worth noting, Runway really spearheaded the public access to this tech. They were first out of the gate with Gen 2 in 2023 for anyone to use, which gave them a lot of feedback from real users. That experience is paying off in Gen 4's design. They seem to understand what filmmakers and designers want, arguably better than the big tech companies, since Runway has been catering to that crowd specifically. In the competitive landscape, though, being first doesn't guarantee you'll stay on top. Think of early social networks that got overtaken. But Runway's strategy of integrating with the creative industry and focusing on user experience gives it a fighting chance to remain very relevant even as giants like OpenAI and Google play in this space. At the end of the day, many artists just want tools that work and fit into their workflow, and Runway is aiming to be exactly that for AI video generation. Google DeepMind's Veo, pushing the boundaries and including sound. Finally, let's delve into Veo, the AI video model from Google DeepMind. If Sora is about accessibility and Runway is about creative control, Veo is about raw power and realism. Google's approach to generative video has been a bit more behind the scenes until recently. They had early research projects like Imagen Video and Finaki, but those were prototypes. Veo is the name of their productized model that builds on that research. Google first introduced Veo in 2024, and by late 2024 they had Veo 2 showing impressive results. Now, in 2025, Veo 3 is here, and it's truly state-of-the-art with some features that really set it apart from the rest. The headline feature for Veo 3 can be summed up as video meet audio. This is the only one of the 3 models that actually generates sound along with the video. That's right. Veo can produce not just the visuals but also the sound effects, ambient noises, and even human-like dialogue that match the scene. This makes the clips feel like complete mini-movies. For example, if you prompt Veo with an old sailor speaking on a ship deck in a stormy sea, not only will you get the visual of the old sailor and crashing waves, but you'll also hear things like the howling wind, the creaking of the ship, the splash of waves, and even the sailor's gravelly voice delivering a line of dialogue. It's astounding to witness. The model is effectively doing what a whole post-production sound team might do, generating audio natively that aligns with the visual events. If a scene shows a feather dropping onto a hot pan, you'll hear that sizzle. If there's a forest at night, you might hear crickets or an owl hooting. The fact that Veo 3 can handle dialogue is especially notable. You can give it a line of speech in your prompt, like including a character's quote, and it will synthesize a voice for that character speaking the line in the video. It's not going to win an Oscar for voice acting, but it's intelligible and suitably toned for the scene. AEG. A wise old owl character might have a calm, deep voice narrating. This audio integration is a massive leap forward in generating a truly complete piece of content from AI. Instead of a silent video that you need to manually add sound to later, Veo aims to do it all at once. Now, beyond audio, Veo's visuals are top-notch. Google has always been strong in AI research, and with DeepMind's expertise, they have pushed Veo's quality to an extreme. Resolution is one indicator. Veo 2 and 3 are capable of generating videos up to 4K resolution. That's ultra-high definition, the kind of detail you expect from a professional camera. Now, not every user will run off and get 4K clips out of Veo. There might be limits in the interfaces like Google's AI Test Kitchen or Cloud due to the immense compute needed. But the model itself was trained to handle that level of detail. In demos, Google has shown Veo outputs that are 1920 by 1080 and higher, and they are crisp. Fine textures, like individual leaves on a tree blowing in the wind, or realistic facial details on a person, are more clearly rendered by Veo than by most competitors. Combined with this high fidelity, Veo has an excellent grasp of real-world physics and motion. One of Google's goals was to reduce the weird artifacts and AI glitches that plague generative videos. So, Veo was trained and engineered to simulate natural movement more accurately. Things like how a human walks or smiles, how water flows and splashes, how shadows should behave as objects move, etc. In technical tests, Veo 2 was rated very highly by human evaluators for realism compared to other models. It tends to avoid common pitfalls like extra limbs or jittery movements. For example, showing a person slicing a steak, Veo will actually attempt to get the hands and the knife doing the slicing in a physically correct way, with the slices separating, steam rising, and so on. A task many models struggle with. Hands and fine object interactions are notoriously hard for AI, but Veo handles them comparatively well. Another standout feature of Veo is prompt adherence and scene control. Google has really imbued Veo with an understanding of cinematography language and multi-step instructions. You can ask for specific camera shots or film styles, similar to Runway and Sora, and Veo will interpret them correctly. For instance, prompt it with a low-angle tracking shot of a skateboarder with a shallow depth of field, and Veo will produce a video from a low camera angle following the skateboarder's movement, with the background nicely blurred, just as a real camera with a wide aperture lens would do. You can specify 18mm lens versus telephoto zoom and get different looks, wide angle versus close-up compression. This kind of fine-grained control is a dream for filmmakers who know exactly how they'd shoot a scene. Now they can ask the AI for those cinematic elements. Moreover, Veo 3 significantly improved handling complex prompts that describe a sequence of events. If you describe a little storyline, a paper boat floats down a gutter, then gets swept into a storm drain, Veo can follow through that sequence more reliably, showing each step in order. Earlier models might mix things up or ignore part of the prompt, but Veo has better attention to each described action. It's less likely to drop an element or get confused, which makes the resulting video feel well-directed. Veo, like the others, also supports using reference images to guide generation. In the latest update for Veo 2 and carried into Veo 3, Google added features where you can provide an image to specify either the content or the style you want. For example, you can feed Veo an image of a particular character, maybe your own artwork or a photo of a person, and ask it to generate a video with that character doing something. Veo will use the image to keep the character's appearance consistent. Or you can provide a style image, say a painting or a frame from a movie, and prompt it to create a new video in that same visual style. This way, If you want your output to look like a Van Gogh painting or like a 90s action movie, the reference helps steer the AI in that direction. This is similar to what Runway Gen 4 does, and it shows that the best models are becoming multimodal in their input. It's not just text in, video out anymore. You can mix images in your instructions for finer control. Now, how does one use VO? Google has been a bit cautious with releasing VO widely. As of early 2025, VO 2 was in a sort of early access phase. Google Labs experiments like VideoFX, and a waiting list for users to try it. VO 3 is being showcased and likely available through certain Google platforms. For instance, it's integrated with Google's Gemini AI offerings and their cloud AI services, Vertex AI, meaning developers and companies can access it via API to build it into applications. There's also mention of a tool called Google Vids or VideoFX in labs, where creative users can test it out with a friendly interface, similar to how you might use Sora or Runway on a website. Google has also teased integration with YouTube. Imagine being able to generate a video background or a cutaway scene for your YouTube video just by describing it. In fact, some YouTube creators had early access to VO 2 and shared their results. For example, one tester prompted some humorous scenarios like an uncle's reaction at a party and got fairly realistic human expressions that looked like short film clips. Google is moving a bit slowly, likely to ensure the outputs are safe and to gather feedback, but it's clear they intend to roll this tech into many products, possibly even Google's Android phones or creative software down the line. They've emphasized safety features like adding invisible watermarks, Google's Synth ID, to every frame of AI-generated video so that it can be identified as AI-made, an important step to combat deepfake concerns. One incredible capability that Google noted: length. VO is designed to potentially generate longer videos than most others. They've stated that VO 2 could be extended to minutes in length, and internal tests show it can maintain coherence for quite a while. Practically, most people won't generate a 2-minute continuous AI video due to the compute cost and still some risk of drift. But the fact that it's on the table means as hardware and techniques improve, we might soon see AI generating short films with a single click. Sora currently limits to around 20 seconds per clip, Runway about 10 seconds, VO pushing towards 120 seconds, 2 minutes, is a big vision of where this is going. Some early users playing with VO did notice that beyond a certain length, even VO can start to struggle with consistency. E.g., a character might subtly change clothing color after a long time, or an extra object might pop in. So there are still technical hurdles in making really long videos perfect, but it's very promising that the model architecture itself isn't strictly capped to very short loops. It was built with longer form content in mind. Quality and realism. If you put side-by-side videos from Sora, Runway, and VO, often you'll find VO's outputs look the most photorealistic. It's the one that aims to mimic the real world as closely as possible, unless you specifically ask it for an artistic style. Colors are vibrant, but natural. Motions are smooth, and faces of any characters look more coherent. VO 2 was widely regarded by testers as the most advanced in image quality and physics at the time of its release. VO 3 builds on that, claiming best-in-class status. Of course, each model has their strengths, and a lot can depend on the exact prompt or scenario. But Google has poured a ton of resources into training VO on high-quality data, including likely countless video clips from across the web, filtered and curated. As a result, it hallucinates fewer errors, meaning fewer extra fingers, fewer random objects that appear or disappear wrongly. It still can make mistakes. No AI is free of quirks yet, but those mistakes happen less frequently compared to earlier gene models. For example, dynamic scenes like an eagle swooping down to catch a fish out of water, something that combines fast motion, water physics, and a detailed subject. Veo tends to handle such scenes with more grace. You might actually see the water splash and droplets, and the eagle's wings flapping with realistic motion blur, which is just astonishing. Google's positioning of Veo is very much for filmmakers and professional creators. They even partnered with famous director Darren Aronofsky's production company, Protozoa Pictures/Primordial Soup, to explore how AI video tools like Veo can be used in the filmmaking process. This suggests that Veo is being tested in real creative workflows, maybe for pre-visualization of scenes, storyboarding, or even for generating background elements and effects. Imagine a director being able to quickly prototype a scene's look and feel by describing it to Veo, before ever bringing in actors or building sets. That's the future Google is hinting at. At the same time, they are rolling it out carefully, likely to ensure it's not misused or causing harm. There's a bit of a waiting game. As of early 2025, many eager users are on wait lists wondering when they can really play with Veo extensively. Google hasn't fully opened the floodgates yet, perhaps to gather more feedback and improve the model's safety. Plus, the compute cost is significant, so they might be managing resources. Summing up Veo, it's the powerhouse that currently leads in a lot of technical benchmarks. It uniquely offers full audiovisual generation, which is a huge plus for those who want a one-stop solution. Imagine generating a video advertisement complete with voiceover. Veo can nearly do that. It produces high-fidelity, 4K, realistic videos, understands cinematic prompts deeply, and can handle longer narratives in a single go. On the downside, its accessibility is a bit limited right now. You might need to sign up for Google's AI programs or use their cloud platform to get the best out of it, which might not be as straightforward as just logging into a website like for Sora or Runway. Also, because it aims for realism, if something does go wrong, it's noticeable. e.g., an uncanny valley human face or a slightly wonky physics moment stands out more in an otherwise realistic Veo clip, whereas in a more stylized Runway clip, you might forgive surreal oddities as artistic. But overall, Veo is raising the bar of what's possible. It's basically showing us a glimpse of the future where an AI can direct and produce a whole scene with both sights and sounds. Comparing the top 3 models and looking ahead. So, how does Sora, Runway Gen 4, and Veo compare with each other, and what does each bring to the table? It's a bit like comparing 3 high-tech cameras or 3 different artistic tools. Each has its strengths and ideal uses. Accessibility and ease of use. Sora is arguably the most accessible to the general public right now, thanks to integration with ChatGPT and even Bing's free service. If you have a prompt idea, and $20 for a ChatGPT Plus subscription, or even just the Bing app on your phone, Sora is ready to bring your idea to life. The interface is designed to be simple, type, and generate. Runway's Gen 4 is also user-friendly, but in a more professional software kind of way. You go to a dedicated application, the Runway web app, and you have lots of tools and settings around the generation. It's great for those willing to spend time fine-tuning and editing. Veo, as of now, is a bit less accessible to casual users. It's there for early adopters and companies, or via limited trials. It might become more mainstream in the near future as Google integrates it into consumer products, but at this moment, Veo might require jumping through some hoops, waitlists, cloud accounts, to use directly. Output length. All three are focusing on short-form video generation at present, but their limits differ slightly. Runway Gen 4 typically generates 5 to 10-second clips. Sora generates up to 20 seconds per clip by default. Veo has shown capability up to 2 minutes, 120 seconds, in one go, though typical usage might still be on the order of seconds due to resource constraints. If your goal is to make a longer video, Sora and Runway encourage a storyboard approach, stringing together multiple short scenes. Veo seems to be shooting for eventually doing longer continuous scenes, which might simplify making a short film, though keeping everything coherent for that long is challenging. Right now, if you needed a 1-minute continuous shot, Sora, with its Plus Pro plan, might let you stitch that easily from a few segments. Veo might technically do it in 1 gen if you had access, but that's somewhat experimental. Visual quality and style. When it comes to raw visual fidelity and realism, Veo likely takes the crown. Its videos can look like real footage at high resolution. It excels in scenes requiring fine detail and true-to-life motion. Sora also produces high-quality visuals, often with a cinematic or almost dreamlike quality. Realistic, but perhaps slightly airbrushed, or artistically lit, which can be very appealing. Runway Gen 4 tends to inject a lot of cinematic style. Many outputs feel like a well-graded film scene or concept art in motion. If you want a very specific art style or mood, Runway is fantastic, because you can feed it reference images of that style, and it will maintain them. Veo also can do styles with references, but its default inclination is photorealism, unless you steer it otherwise. Sora is somewhere in between. It tries to accurately follow your prompt, whether that's realistic or fantastical. For example, ask each to do a medieval knight painted by Picasso coming to life. Runway would nail the Picasso painting look and animate it for a few seconds beautifully. Sora would do a respectable job, maybe mixing Picasso-esque visuals with motion. And Veo might turn that into a scene of a cubist-looking knight moving in an artsy but realistic way, with possibly extra details and maybe even some background music. Each flavor has its use. Runway for pure creative vision, Sora for versatile quick results, Veo for high-fidelity output. Consistency and characters. All three models have made big strides in temporal consistency. No more random morphing if they can help it. Runway, Gen 4, and Sora both leverage multi-shot consistency. They love when you give them an image to lock in the character design. Veo 2 allows references for consistency. In practice, if you needed the same character in multiple scenes, you might find Runway's workflow very handy, since it's built around that reference image paradigm. Sora can do it too, especially with its storyboard and recut features. You generate one scene of a character, and then literally extend that video with another scene, effectively carrying the character forward. Veo, being more closed right now, hasn't shown as much of multi-scene editing in public tools, though presumably you could generate separate scenes and edit them externally. One anecdote. Testers found that Veo 2 sometimes still struggled with absolute consistency over very long durations, e.g., the color of a small object might change by the end of a 2-minute clip, whereas Sora would likely not even attempt 2 minutes straight. It would do shorter scenes, where consistency resets each scene, unless guided. But with the new updates, Veo 3's accuracy in following a series of actions and maintaining the details is greatly improved. So in a nutshell, all are converging on solving the coherence issue, using slightly different methods. Audio. Here's a simple breakdown. Veo has it The others don't, yet. If you require an AI-generated video with sound included out of the box, Veo is currently the one that offers that. Neither Sora nor Runway generate audio. You'd add music, Foley, or voiceover manually after getting the visual. Veo gives you an automatic soundtrack and voices, which is mind-blowing. However, keep in mind the audio from Veo is AI-generated too. It might not be perfect, and if you're a creator, you might still want to dub with a human voice actor for polished results. But for previews, storyboards, or quick content, it's a huge time saver. It wouldn't be surprising if OpenAI and Runway are working on their own audio enhancements down the line. OpenAI has done work in audio with models like Jukebox in the past, and Runway could integrate third-party AI audio tools. But as of now, Veo stands out clearly in this department. Use cases and target users. OpenAI's Sora seems targeted at a broad range of users, from individual hobbyists making fun clips, to marketers generating social media videos, to maybe educators making visual aids. Because it's bundled with ChatGPT, it has a generalist vibe. Accessibility and ease are key. Runway Gen 4 is aimed at content creators, filmmakers, artists, design studios, people who might already be doing video editing or visual design and want to amp up their capabilities with AI. It's part of a creative suite, so it assumes you'll be doing something with the outputs, compositing into real footage, adding to a project, etc. Google's Veo is angled towards professionals and enterprise-level creativity. Think major film studios, advertising agencies, game developers, and also AI researchers. Google is likely to integrate Veo into its cloud for developers to build apps, so you might see other products using Veo under the hood. If someone wanted to, say, build a video game cutscene generator or a virtual reality world creation tool, Veo on the back end would be a strong engine for that due to its quality and audio features. However, for an everyday YouTuber or TikToker, Veo isn't as directly within reach yet as Sora or Runway. Community and ecosystem. Sora benefits from the huge ChatGPT user base. People share prompts and videos on forums and social media. Runway has an established community of AI artists and even a talent network to connect creators with clients. Veo, being newer to public usage, has interest from tech enthusiasts and AI influencers who share comparisons and demos, but it's still building up a user community. Interestingly, there have been direct comparisons posted by those lucky enough to test multiple models. One creative test someone did was generating the same prompt in Sora, Runway, and Veo to see differences. For example, hands slicing a steak as a benchmark for physics and detail. The consensus was that Veo produced the most realistic steak slicing with proper hand movement and sizzling sounds. Sora produced a very cinematic-looking interpretation, perhaps a bit less perfect on the hands but well-composed visually. Runway made a stylish rendition. Maybe the steak looked like a gourmet magazine shot and the motion slightly stylized. None was bad. It's just amazing that we have multiple AI models that can all attempt such a complex prompt now. We truly have a competition of creativity between these systems, which is driving them all to get better quickly. Limitations and ethical considerations. It's worth mentioning that all these providers are treading carefully around what users can generate. Deep fakes, like realistic fake videos of real people, are a big concern. All three models have usage policies to block prompts that ask for disallowed content, e.g., sexual or violent content beyond a certain limit, political disinformation, etc. Technically, each model might have certain weak spots. For instance, super detailed text, like legible text on a sign in the video, often comes out gibberish in these models. They're not great at generating readable words in a scene, similar to how AI image models struggle with text. Also, fine details like faces up close can sometimes look a bit off if you pause and inspect frame by frame, especially for Sora and Runway. Veo's extra training on faces might make it a tad better there, but it's not perfect either. There's also the issue of computational cost. Generating video is hefty. If you're using these tools heavily, you might hit limits. As we saw, Sora initially limited Plus users to a certain number of videos per month, and Runway charges based on how many seconds you render. Over time, as hardware improves and models become more efficient, this will get better. But for now, patience and some budget are part of the game if you want to make a lot of AI videos. Looking ahead, one can only imagine how these systems will evolve. We might see a Sora 2.0 that adds audio like Veo, or extends length further. Runway might come with Gen 5 that pushes resolution higher and integrates even more interactivity, perhaps letting you edit frames in the middle of generation, or seamlessly blend AI footage with your own footage within the model. Google's Veo might become part of our daily tools. It's not far-fetched to think of a future where, say, you can ask Google's Assistant to make a short video of my vacation photos turning into a story with music, and a Veo-powered service does it. The competition is heating up, which is great for innovation, but also means we'll have to watch how responsibly this tech is deployed. Each of these companies has stated commitments to do this thoughtfully, adding watermarks, usage policies, etc. Because as the videos get more indistinguishable from reality, the concern about misuse grows. For creators and viewers, though, this is an incredibly exciting time. We're witnessing the birth of a new medium where AI is the cameraman, the director, and the editor. Think about it. A single individual can now create scenes that would have taken a whole team and budget to film traditionally. Want to visualize your sci-fi story set on an alien planet with flying creatures and a hero protagonist? You don't need Hollywood. You can attempt it with these AI tools at home. We're already seeing short films made primarily with AI, music videos with AI-generated segments, and a surge of experimental art. As Sora, Runway, and Veo continue to improve, the quality and length of AI videos will reach a point where they might be used in mainstream entertainment. We might see indie films partly or wholly generated by AI, or video game cutscenes dynamically created by AI based on the player's actions. The possibilities are vast. In conclusion, each of the top 3 models we discussed, OpenAI's Sora, Runway's Gen 4, and Google's Veo 3, brings something unique to the table. Sora offers user-friendly storytelling with a strong grounding in understanding language and a convenient ecosystem. Runway Gen 4 offers creative precision and artistry, putting powerful tools in the hands of filmmakers and designers. Veo Trees offers unparalleled realism and completeness, bridging the gap between visual and audio generation and aiming for the pinnacle of quality. It's not so much about which one is best overall. It's about which one is best suited to the task at hand. And honestly, seeing all 3 pushing boundaries is thrilling because it means the whole field of AI video generation is advancing at breakneck speed. That's a wrap for today's deep dive into AI video generation. We hope you enjoyed this tour of the latest and greatest in AI models turning text into moving pictures. It's not often that an entirely new creative medium emerges, and we're right in the middle of it happening. From Sora's accessible movie making, to Runway's creative toolkit, to Veo's cinematic powerhouse, The future of video creation is looking more and more like science fiction brought to life. Stay tuned and keep your cameras, or rather your prompts, ready, because the coming months and years will surely bring even more jaw-dropping developments in this space. Thank you for listening to AI News. Until next time, keep imagining, keep creating, and see you in the next episode.